Hello everyone and welcome to the weekend. I hope it is going to be a wonderful and restful one for you after what may or may not have been a long work week for you. So this is going to be for April 11th and 12th, but of course, trust the timing of tarot. Whenever it finds you is the right time. Now I've already shuffled quite a bit and these cards just keep wanting to be shuffled some more. And I'm not really sure what's up with that. Feels like the energy's moving a bit. Now on the weekend I usually do a 9-card block. The reason being the weekend is sort of a hinge between two time periods. The week we've just lived through and the week that is to come. And of course the weekend is sort of an energy of its own where we might be in a different kind of flow or different kind of routine at this point. Just have some water there. Okay, so let us begin. Let's see what Spirit has to say. All right, here we go. Okay, first one out. 7 of Wands. I'm going to try and get all the cards up front unless I'm prompted to stop and discuss something. Oh, okay. Well, those two, sometimes one card is 2 cards. And that is the case with those two. So, all right. Lovely middle of the deck energy, or middle of the spread energy. Another 2 for our side here, okay? I want to get everything out before we get into this, okay? So definitely some moving energies. Here's our last one. Oh, goodness. My least favorite card. Okay, bottom of the deck, Page of Cups. So, Page of Cups I do love because it's a bit fresh. It's kind of re-finding that youthful, playful energy within. And it's a desire to connect with others. The cups are our emotional realm, which of course we experience our emotions individually. But it is really through our dynamics with others that we, or our emotions really come alive. And so this cups is sort of showing me if perhaps you've been in a space or a season of, pulling back, hermiting a little bit, or feeling like you don't have so much to give. This Page of Cups is indicating sort of a willingness and kind of a refinding that, joie de vivre a bit. That's how you say it. That may have been a horrible pronunciation. But the joy for life and that desire to connect and participate and be with others a bit. So that's a lovely energy for our bottom of the deck. Let me make sure you can see all of this. Okay. Now, the way I read this a bit, there are exceptions sometimes because, Spirit has its own agenda. I am just the messenger. But I do see this being more or less how I intend it, which is sort of like where we've come from, where we are now, and a little bit of what's to come. So in terms of what we've been through, these are all familiar characters from the previous week. So 7 of Wands, for me, mostly that's a card of positive challenges. It's a card of growth and overcoming obstacles, but also fighting for what matters to you. This isn't sort of, we have the 5 of Wands just below that, which is like competing energies and passions. But our 7 of Wands usually indicates that there's a sense of, I know what I'm fighting for. And because that's on the other side of the 6 of Wands, which is that kind of victory card. So there is something to fight for. There is a victory to defend. And I don't mean that in a static kind of way. I mean, we've learned something, we've gained some clarity, and now we have ground to hold. So this is wanting to go forward. The Fool here, of course, is that, the Page of Cups in some ways is a little bit of a baby fool. Our Fool is ready to set out on a new adventure. A new cycle begins. And so that cycle, it's a new cycle of learning and growth, but I also love it because the Fool coming back to zero is a return. And so many times we go through these challenges and these growth periods where out of necessity, in service of the growth and the learning, we have to sort of let go of ourselves a bit. And it's not that everything we've ever learned no longer matters, quite to the contrary, but for the moment, we have to tend to the growth and the challenge that's in front of us. And so the Fool, coming back to zero means, it doesn't mean nothing. It means coming back to infinite potentiality. Zero is actually a wonderful place to be because all possibilities are on the board. You get to have beginner's mind again. So now with our Five of Swords and our King of Pentacles here, I'm getting that our King of Pentacles here, who came out recently, is, this pentacle, when it's coming out with the Five of Swords like this, it's telling me that it was hard won. The Five of Swords can be a little bit of a tough energy. There is some victory in it, but, there's a cost. It was, there's a little bit of a caution about how we get what we have and to make sure it's being gained in a just way. And that's not to say that the King of Pentacles has ill-gotten gains here, not at all. But in the process of getting there and getting our stability, this King of Pentacles has more than enough to share. And this is a card of not sharing. So, in our battles and journeys to get to King of Pentacles, which we all want because that is such a state of abundance and security and sort of being master of our own material domain, it may have come at a cost, and there may be a little bit of weariness around that pentacle. So, coming down to our second row here, let me back up for a second, because this is sort of the energy we've just passed through. So it is a new beginning. It has been a time of sort of fighting for what we want, having that ground to stand on, which has led into this new chapter and this new phase. And with that Five of Swords, the Five of Swords, the King of Pentacles, the King of Energy, that's interesting, absolutely overshadows our Five of Swords. And I just see our King of Pentacles sitting here and just pondering for a moment the cost and the loss of what it took to get here, what needed to be sacrificed to get here, which is a slightly sad energy to be in, if I'm honest. It was a necessary journey. And I do love that the Fool is here because we are in a place of, infinite potential now, as I said. So there are good places to go, but this is acknowledging the cost that it took to become the king. Lonely at the top is what I'm getting from this. Lonely at the top. So here we are with more competing priorities, and this feels to me a little bit like the demands of success. Once we sort of get to a certain place, all of a sudden there are responsibilities, there are priorities. This card's been coming out quite a lot. And it's sort of, fives are change. It's always something that we're moving through. But I'm just noticing we've got 3 sevens out here, but focusing for the moment. there are competing priorities. There's a lot of wands happening here. There's energy that wants to go in a lot of different directions. And this can be healthy competition, but there's going to be a need to make a choice. And here we have our Three of Rods here, Three of Wands, making that choice. But center of the deck here, keep saying center of the deck, center of the reading, we have our King of Cups. And, you know, he is the ultimate expression of love. He is he actually came out in yesterday's reading, now that I think about it. He is leading from his heart. He has something to give, whereas this King of Pentacles has gained his, you know, his wealth and his abundance. This King of Cups is ready to share it. It's the highest expression of love. But I'm just getting, you know, I'm looking at this. There is not a single feminine energy on the board right now. There is a ton of energy of doing, striving, achieving, making choices, sacrificing, strategizing. There is not a single female character on here. These characters are all very alone. So all of this work, this journey has been a solitary one. And it has come with a cost. That cost may well be love. So, this King of Cups, this King of Cups is almost a little bit odd sitting here, surrounded by all of these very harsh energies, because the King of Cups is not a harsh energy at all. But it is surrounded by Nine of Wands, Wounded Warrior. I do appreciate the Three of Wands here because it's sort of waiting for the ships to come in. But this is still an energy of protection. There is a lot of self-protection, some closed offness. This king is not able to flow. And it's like he can't get off his throne yet and go give that cup. Because this page of... Whoa, interesting. Okay, hold on. We got to deal with the bottom of the deck real quick. Sorry for jumping around. Page of Cups wants to give that cup. That's the whole point of a page. They're a messenger. They are transactional in the best way. And that they don't exist just in terms of being their own essence. They exist to go somewhere, to do something, to connect someone, to deliver a message. This cup wants to move. And I'm just seeing on the bottom of the deck here, just underneath that, we have the Ten of Pentacles and the Wheel of Fortune. So this is kind of waiting in the wings, and the Wheel of Fortune is that change ready to happen. But currently, you know, this is, I'm going to be honest, this is a bit of a tough reading. Because this energy, as I've already said, is fighting, is striving, is strategizing, is not able to give its cup. And perhaps what this King of, you know, this is a card of waiting, this Three of Wands. It's almost like seeing which of these Five of Wands is going to actually pan out, which of these sort of options and competing energies is going to win. And it's like he's waiting for his ships to come in because there's a fear of a loss here. There's a fear of he can't move because the pain, if it doesn't go well, will be too much. I'm going to go ahead and move down to the bottom here. So Seven of Cups, Death, and Seven of Swords. You know, these Seven of Cups, it can represent a lot of options, but, you know, this card can be called, you know, the dreaded cups of confusion. It's too many choices. It's almost like the building of these confusing energies here. Although I will say the Seven is not confused, the Seven of Wands. But our Seven of Cups here doesn't know what to choose, doesn't know which cup to choose, doesn't know which cup to give. And so perhaps having strategized so much, having strived so much to sort of protect the king's own security, now that that security exists, it's like, okay, what do I do? Because it's actually closed some options. Yes, a choice was made. A direction was chosen to become the King of Pentacles. This is looking more and more to me like a choice. But now where do we go? Now where do we go? Seven of Cups. What choice to make? And Death here. Sorry guys, this is a bit of a harsh reading. Death here is saying, okay, do you get it now? There's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to go here. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to change things. There's something that needs to die. And I want to say this. I think I've said this recently in a previous reading. Even though a choice was made and a certain point was arrived at, the positive side here, I do have a positivity bias. I'm always looking for the positive in things, is getting the thing at the end of the journey that you were seeking is usually not satisfying. But what is satisfying is who you've become throughout the journey, who the journey has made you into. And why it becomes a little difficult when you arrive is you kind of realize the person who at the beginning of the journey who wanted this outcome, the journey has changed you into a person who is no longer that person. So now you have the thing, but you've changed because of the journey, which is, quite frankly, the whole point of the journey. So it's not a bad thing, but be aware of that. You chase after a thing, that journey changes you, and then you have the thing, and you're like, well, I'm not the same person who wanted this thing to start with. So then what? So then comes the transformation. Here comes Death. All right, we need to clarify the Seven of Swords. I've said 1,000 times, I really dislike the Seven of Swords. I don't think I'm about to like it anymore. No, I'm not. Okay. Bottom of the deck, Two of Pentacles, learning how to juggle things. But what clarified our Seven of Swords here is Three of Swords, so that's heartbreak. And the Nine of Pentacles. For some of you, this is a person you lost. This is the lone feminine in this reading. And now this may be a person you lost, a person who is the epitome of, I mean, she's similar to the King of Pentacles here, but this is like pre-Empress energy. Is content, is happy, is warm. Like, look how warm this card is. She's abundant on her own. She's nurturing, she's fertile, but she's also home. Like, she's at home in her garden. And perhaps this is a person or a place or something that was home to you. And perhaps was sacrificed in the pursuit of this journey. And perhaps our Seven of Swords here, you know, the positive part of the Seven of Swords is strategizing, making plans, figuring out how to do something, and perhaps it's applying the Seven of Swords kind of wiliness to how to get back to this, how to come back to this garden. Can you get re-entry to this? Because feminine energy is needed so badly here. The absence of it is heartbreaking. and perhaps the journey ahead. I gotta get one more card. I'm so sorry. I gotta get one more card. I gotta see. I'm nosy. Okay. Well, we got 2 cards. Interesting. So 2 of Pentacles still on the bottom. So that's, you know, we're learning. We're learning how to ride these waves. 8 of Cups and 9 of Cups. So leaving something behind to move towards satisfaction. So there is a transition here. So this may, if nothing else, be a dawning awareness of the heartbreak and what it cost. Because there has been a cost. And what is ahead? You know, 7, 8, 9 of Cups. So that's a good sign, because the only place to go cups-wise after this is the 10, which is ultimate, you know, happiness and fulfillment. So this is a major transition coming up. This is a clarifying, and clarifying, you know, it's pain sometimes that is our best clarifier. It sharpens the senses and brings things into focus. And so this transformation is going to be, and you know, I actually really love the 8 of Cups, because nothing is really lost. It's just moving forward. It's just realizing that there's more. Like, these 8 Cups did serve for a while. And this is satisfaction and wish fulfillment. So I'm seeing ahead, through possibly a little bit of pain, clarification of the direction and of what is worth choosing. Okay, that was a tough one. So I hope it served you in some way. And I will be back with the weekly for next week very soon. Have a wonderful weekend and take care.